For many people, meditation is seen as a method to bring the mind into peace, a way to stay calm amid the chaos of life. But what is meditation really? Is it a path to liberation or just a tool that has been inflated in today's society? Some believe that all it takes is to sit down, close your eyes, and relax the body to enter a tranquil state. But that's not the truth. That is only a surface layer, a shell, hiding a deeper reality you may not yet know. The issue lies in the very nature of the human mind. It never stops. It is like a river, flowing endlessly, without pause. Whether awake or asleep, the brain keeps processing information, keeps working unconsciously. Dreams themselves are the clearest evidence of this. Even in the deepest sleep, the mind creates images, stories, emotions, things we cannot fully control. The mind was never programmed to stop. And yet, when we meditate, we try to force it to halt. This is where meditation becomes an act that runs against the natural mechanism of the body. It's like trying to stop a rushing river with your bare hands. If you don't understand its true nature, that very current will sweep you away. People often talk about the benefits of meditation, but very few mention its traps. Some feel a light floating sensation when they meditate, and they mistake it for inner peace. But in truth, it's often nothing more than a physiological illusion. Others start imagining they have reached enlightenment, that they've touched some ultimate truth, but in reality, they are only wandering deeper into the labyrinth of their own minds. For most, meditation becomes a battle within. They come face to face with hidden layers of themselves, things they've never seen clearly before. Some feel lost, some are consumed by fear, some even lose their grounding in reality. But almost no one speaks of this. Meditation courses won't tell you about these consequences. Even many so-called teachers don't truly understand them. Why? Because their main goal is business, profit. They feed on your longing, your desire for peace, your hunger for special experiences, and they turn it into an easy product to sell. They don't help you see your mind clearly. Instead, they nurture your delusion, reinforcing the illusions you yourself are building. And so, instead of breaking free from the mind's traps, you end up entangled more deeply in them. Those who truly teach correctly are rare, countable on the fingers of one hand. They don't sell sweet promises, they don't paint a path full of roses, they don't promise eternal happiness. They simply reveal the truth. And once you see the truth, there is no need to search anymore. But the truth is not attractive. It does not excite emotions. It does not bring ecstasy or dazzling moments of glory. The truth is bare, simple, colorless, uneventful, and for that very reason, people overlook it. Instead, they chase after things that make them feel special, that make them believe they are making progress, that they are on the right path. What they don't want to admit is this: the real path has no glory at all. And because of this, most people never truly understand meditation. They never truly understand themselves. They don't want to face the truth. They only want to chase a dream of their own making. And so, they get lost without even realizing it, running endlessly in circles within their own minds, thinking they are moving forward, while in reality, they remain trapped in the same illusion. So in this video, we are not here to talk about enlightenment. We are not here to discuss the ultimate truth or some supreme reality. This is not a video to glorify meditation as a mystical path, nor is it one to dismiss its value. What we're going to do is dive into the very essence of meditation. We'll look directly at the aspects people rarely mention. We'll analyze how the brain actually functions during meditation, the common misconceptions, and the traps many people fall into without realizing. Most importantly, this is about learning how to practice correctly, not in the way you might want it to be, but in the way you need to understand it if you truly want to walk your own path. As you already know, the human brain never really rests. Even when we're not thinking consciously, it continues to process information unconsciously. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that sometimes, when you're doing something completely different, an idea suddenly flashes into your mind? Or perhaps after a long night's sleep, you wake up with the solution to a problem you couldn't figure out before? That happens because the brain is always active, whether you are aware of it or not. From a scientific perspective, the brain operates through brain waves, and each type of wave represents a different state of consciousness. When you are alert and focused, beta waves dominate. They allow you to process information, reason, and make decisions. When you relax, close your eyes, and take deep breaths, alpha waves appear. They help shift the body into a calmer state. Go deeper into meditation or start drifting towards sleep and theta waves take over. This is the twilight zone between wakefulness and dreams, where intuition and the subconscious become more active. And finally, in the deepest sleep, delta waves emerge. They restore the body and replenish energy. Now, here's the problem. When you meditate, you are trying to alter this natural rhythm of the brain. Instead of letting it follow its usual cycle, you are deliberately steering it in another direction. When you sit down to meditate and focus on your breath, beta waves decline, giving way to alpha and theta. This is why many people report feeling deeply relaxed, or as though their mind is floating into a dreamlike state. But if you don't understand this mechanism, you might mistake relaxation for reaching some higher realm of consciousness. And there's more. During deep meditation, certain regions of the brain begin to change. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logical thinking, planning, and emotional control, can temporarily reduce its activity. This explains why some people feel as if they've entered an entirely different state, separate from ordinary reality. The so-called dissolution of the ego, often described by meditators, is in fact just the result of neural changes, not necessarily wisdom or true insight. In fact, there are cases where meditation, practiced incorrectly or excessively, overstimulates the amygdala, the brain's center for emotion and fear responses. This can lead to anxiety, panic, or even psychological disorders. That's why some people come out of meditation feeling more restless, disoriented, or even paranoid. Another important factor is the reticular activating system, or RAS, a neural network that regulates alertness and attention. During meditation, the RAS can be altered, shifting you into unusual states of awareness. If you understand this clearly, you can use meditation as a powerful tool to train focus, to regulate your mind, and to develop true mental clarity. But without this understanding, you may only end up lost in illusions. But if you don't, it's very easy to get caught in illusions created by your own mind. And those illusions can lead to consequences you never expected. That's why, before jumping into meditation, it's crucial to understand how the brain actually works. If you don't, not only will you fail to reach true stillness, but you may also fall straight into the traps set by your own mind. And if you don't recognize this, you may simply be playing a game with your own thoughts without even knowing it. Not everyone who meditates reaches real tranquility. Just sitting down, closing your eyes, does not mean you're suddenly in control of your mind. One of the most common misunderstandings about meditation is the illusion of inner peace. Many people, when meditating, feel light, as if their body is floating, their mind becoming dreamy, and they think this is a sign of awakening. But in reality, this is simply a normal physiological reaction of the brain. When you sit still, reduce external stimulation, and focus on your breath, the sympathetic nervous system quiets down, while the parasympathetic nervous system becomes more active. This shift creates relaxation. The body releases dopamine and serotonin, the same chemicals that generate feelings of happiness. It's similar to what happens when you listen to a piece of music you love, or even when you use certain mild stimulants. But this is not awakening. It's only a temporary physiological state. If you don't see this clearly, you can easily become addicted to that feeling. And when that happens, meditation no longer serves as a tool for understanding yourself. It becomes an escape, a drug to hide from reality. Another, and even more dangerous, misunderstanding is the illusion of enlightenment. Some people, after practicing meditation for a while, begin to feel as though they've gained a profound understanding of the world, as if they've reached some higher realm that others haven't. But in truth, most of these feelings are just products of the brain when it temporarily shifts into a different mode of operation. During meditation, the prefrontal cortex responsible for logic, planning, and rational control reduces its activity, while regions connected to sensory experience and intuition become stronger. This can make you feel as though you're seeing things more clearly. But in reality, it's only a change in the brain's processing mechanism. It doesn't mean you've reached a higher state of wisdom. It's just a stage in the brain's shifting activity, not the final destination. Yet if you believe you've arrived, you risk falling into complacency, stopping your exploration, and closing yourself off from deeper understanding. Beyond these illusions of peace and awakening, many people also fall into an intense inner battle during meditation. When you sit still, without distractions from the outside world, all the hidden layers of your mind begin to surface. Old fears, buried memories, repressed emotions, they rise up unexpectedly, leaving you unsettled, sometimes even terrified. This is why so many people feel more tense during meditation instead of relaxed. They weren't prepared to face themselves. Some feel as though they are being swept away by uncontrollable thoughts. Others feel like they are falling into an endless abyss of the mind. This is why so many people who practice meditation end up in states of panic, prolonged anxiety, or even depression. Some fall into disorientation, losing their sense of connection with reality. They no longer feel grounded in the world around them, as if everything is slipping away, like they are drifting further and further from life itself. It can feel as though they are looking at the world from the outside. Some even report feeling as though they are no longer themselves. These are the results of neurological changes that happen during deep meditation. But without understanding this, it's easy to mistake such experiences for some kind of special, spiritual state. In truth, it's not an evolution of consciousness, it's simply a disruption in how the brain processes space and self-awareness. But perhaps the most dangerous misunderstanding is when meditation turns into an escape. There are people so overwhelmed by the pressures of life that they turn to meditation not to understand themselves, but to run away from reality. They seek the silence of meditation as a temporary refuge, a way to forget their difficulties for a moment. Yet, when they return to daily life, the problems are still there. In fact, they often feel even heavier because nothing has been resolved. Meditation is not a path to avoidance, it is a path to facing yourself. But if you don't understand this, meditation can easily become addictive. It can turn into a hiding place rather than a tool for true growth. These are the common misunderstandings today. And what's alarming is that very few people actually warn about them. People talk endlessly about peace, calmness, and serenity, but rarely about the consequences of practicing meditation in the wrong way. They don't talk about illusions, about psychological disturbances, or about the traps the mind can set when you don't truly understand it. Understanding meditation is one thing. Practicing it correctly is another. Some give up after a while because they see no results. Others sink deeper into illusions their own minds have created. This is why, before practicing meditation, you need a solid foundation, an understanding of how the brain works, awareness of the risks meditation can bring, and most importantly, clarity about how to practice properly so you don't fall into dangerous mental traps. The first step is to understand the brain's mechanism before you even begin. You cannot approach meditation with the naive idea that simply sitting down will bring you peace. As we've discussed, the human brain is an unstoppable flow, and when you try to force it into silence, it will resist. You need to understand that thinking is a natural function of the mind. Meditation is not a battle against thoughts, it is an intentional act of observation. Once you realize that the brain never truly stops, you will no longer be haunted by the need to control it. Instead of forcing your mind into silence, let it flow naturally. Learn to observe it without being carried away. The next step is to recognize that meditation is not about reaching some special state. It is a training of awareness. Many people expect meditation to bring them something extraordinary, a floating sensation, absolute peace, a profound vision of the universe, or a deep transformation. But if you meditate with that expectation, you are already caught in a trap. Meditation is not the pursuit of a special state. It is the cultivation of the ability to observe things as they are. If you feel peace, observe that peace. If you feel anxious, observe that anxiety. If you feel discomfort, observe that discomfort. Don't try to change anything. Don't chase after any specific feeling. Let everything unfold naturally and simply witness it. Once, a man came to a meditation master. He knelt down and said, "Master, I have meditated for many years, but I still have not attained enlightenment." Imagine this. A student came to a meditation teacher and said, "Master, I've been meditating for many years, but I still haven't reached enlightenment. I still have wandering thoughts. I still feel messy emotions. Did I do something wrong?" The teacher stayed silent for a while, then asked, "When the sky is clear, what do you see?" The student answered, "I see the blue sky." The teacher nodded, "And when the sky is filled with clouds, what do you see?" The student thought for a moment and said, "I see the clouds." The teacher continued, "When the storm comes, what do you see?" The student replied, "I see the rain, the lightning, the strong winds." The teacher smiled and asked, "But no matter how the weather changes, does the sky ever disappear?" The student was taken aback. The teacher explained, "Your mind is just like the sky, sometimes calm, sometimes restless, sometimes chaotic, but it never disappears. If you meditate with the expectation that the sky must always be clear, you will only end up disappointed." Meditation is not about changing the sky, but about realizing that the sky is always there, regardless of the storm. At that moment, the student bowed down, finally understanding. You see, If you meditate with the goal of controlling your mind completely, you will fall into the endless trap of control and frustration. But if you understand that the mind doesn't need to be changed, it only needs to be clearly seen, then you are no longer caught in chasing or resisting anything. Meditation is not about making the sky clear. It's about realizing that no matter what storm passes through, the sky remains vast and open. And here's another important principle. Meditation is not something separate from life, but part of life itself. Too often, people only meditate when they sit down in a quiet space. But the moment they step away, they get pulled right back into worries, stress, and old habits. If meditation is just something you do for a short time and then forget about, it won't truly transform you. Real meditation is carrying awareness into every action when you eat, when you walk, when you work, when you talk to others. If you can stay mindful, even when you're not sitting in meditation, that is true practice. There are many different methods of meditation: breath-focused meditation, observing thoughts, walking meditation, active meditation, meditating within everyday actions. No one method is universally right for everyone. Each person has a different mind, a different life situation, and a different way of approaching practice. If you force yourself into a method that doesn't feel natural, you will only create more stress instead of finding stillness. Meditation is not a fixed mold, it's a way to connect with yourself. If you struggle to focus while sitting still, try moving meditation. Walk, stretch, or do light activity with awareness. If you notice you get caught up in endless thoughts, breathing meditation might help you strengthen focus. If you want meditation to become a way of life, bring mindfulness into small, daily actions. The point isn't to pick the perfect technique, it's to understand the essence of meditation. And when you truly understand, you're no longer bound by one rigid form. You can practice meditation right in the rhythm of your daily life. And finally, don't expect instant results. Many people think that after a short time meditating, their mind will suddenly become crystal clear, their emotions stable, their life effortless. But the truth is, meditation doesn't work that way. It's a long process. It takes patience. There will be days when meditation feels natural and effortless, and days when it feels almost impossible. There will be moments of peace and moments of deep inner conflict. The key is not to cling to any state, but to simply keep practicing. That's meditation, not chasing the sky, not forcing the weather, but seeing clearly and continuing, step by step. Think of the mind like a river. Sometimes it is calm and still. Other times, waves rise and carry everything away. But your task is not to change the river. Your task is to learn how to watch it without being swept away by its current. And if possible, find a trustworthy guide. Meditation is not something everyone can learn properly on their own. An experienced guide can help you avoid the traps that many people fall into, help you understand what's really happening inside your mind, and give you a more grounded perspective on practice. But be careful. In today's world, there are far too many people calling themselves masters without real depth, selling courses full of promises, but with little true value. A genuine guide does not tell you what to do. A true guide simply helps you see your own path more clearly. Yet even with a guide, the most important part of the journey will always be you. No teacher, no method, no book can replace your own process of awareness. No one can hand you understanding. You have to see it and experience it for yourself. That's why our advice is this. Listen, but don't believe blindly. Reflect, question, listen again and again, not just to this message, but to anything you find worth contemplating. Don't chase after answers from others, test them against your own awareness. If you truly want to understand meditation, begin by observing yourself, not by following someone else. Human beings are always caught in a cycle of thought, sometimes seeking one thing, sometimes running away from another. Some meditate to reach a special state. Some meditate to escape pain. Others meditate to find a deeper meaning for their existence. But whatever the reason, they are still seeking, still chasing something. And that constant seeking, that endless desire, is the greatest barrier of all. A truly free mind is not seeking. It is simply aware. You don't need to go anywhere else to find yourself. You have always been here. You don't need to force silence. If you simply observe, you will realize silence has never left. It was only hidden beneath the noise of thought. Meditation is not a technique for reaching something higher. It is the release from the illusion that there is something to reach. When you see the true nature of meditation, you are no longer bound by concepts. You are no longer fascinated by special states or seduced by promises of transformation. You stop asking, What will meditation give me? Because you see clearly, meditation is not a tool to achieve anything. It doesn't add to you, and it doesn't take anything away. It doesn't take you to another place. It simply reveals what has always been right here. No chasing, no rushing, only awareness. Living fully in that awareness. And that is what we want to share with you. You don't need to believe anything immediately. Just listen, reflect, observe for yourself. In that clarity, you will realize you have never truly been limited. You have never truly been lacking anything. And so, we wish for you to always remain awake, steady, and wise on your own path.